Alright, Treacle. Welcome back to Grand Prix World. Hope you guys are all having an amazing weekend, or what passes for an amazing weekend wherever you are in the world. I'm taking a moment to go through the feedback from the last video. It seems you guys are fairly mellow about what we do next, and that's fine. I've been fairly mellow myself since I got back from vacation. I think it's because there was all those tiny cats. So what we're going to do is try and renegotiate with Shinji Nakano first, since people seem fairly chilled about whether we have a pay driver or not. Where are you, Shinji? He's still not happy with the other driver. We'll keep trying because no one's going to sign Tanaka, so we're going to be good. In terms of a test driver, Andrea Montemini, no disrespect because we're pretty much the same age, but you're too old. You're way too old. So let's see who we can pluck from obscurity. I always have a soft spot for Celso Moriera, so why don't we grab him? 2 seasons. Yes, there we go. Right. What else is going on? We made some more staff hires at the end of the last episode. A little bit naughty, spending money we don't really have. But, it's kind of going to be a running theme, I think, while we have no money. Because, you got to speculate to accumulate. At least that's what wankers say. Spare parts. Spare parts always use for spare parts, particularly with 2 incompetent drivers, which is exactly what we've got. I'm going to turn down their performance again as well. I'm really concerned about how much wear they're going to be putting on the car, and even more so how much damage. So let's get these cars repaired first of all. And the good thing about not testing, I suppose, is that car 3 stays in mint condition. How are we on the... yeah, our share price is still pretty pitiful, to be honest, so no point selling out just yet. In terms of partnerships, we did agree that the main target now is going to be the Mugen Honda deal, because it's not only a partnership with the potential for some cash income, but it's a 2-season deal, which really gives us some breathing room going into the next year. Still no word on the Red Bull situation. Only 1 season with Texaco, but that's fine. 1 season with Bridgestone. I don't think we get a 2-season deal with Goodyear, so that's not really any loss. So we can dive straight into the next round. Start getting these behind us. Right. Rosset, I'm sorry, well, I'm not sorry, I just don't trust you. Doesn't he look a bit like a game show host? Or a golfer? Actually, yeah, he looks more like a golfer. It's just, I don't know if it's the smile and the baseball cap, he just looks like he should be playing in the Open. There are no setup points to spend, because why would there be? No new tyre compounds, no nothing, because we are merely Tyrrell and no one wants to give us stuff. Right, let's see if we can achieve anything other than embarrassment. It's like primary school all over again. 30 degrees, strong rain, strong wind, so somewhat turbulent conditions. Not expecting any miracles then. No grip on the track. Very not helpful for a driver like Rosset. Or Rosset, I don't know if it's pronounced Rosset or not, but we're going to go with Rosset. He doesn't deserve any consideration. 20 and 21, so we actually were outside the 107%, which does not surprise me. Surprisingly, Shinji Nakano was. I guess the Bridgestones are working better. Esteban Tuero was also outside the 107%, but the FAA did not allow them in. I'm actually surprised they allowed us in, given that our relationship is already on the downward turn. Again, Damon Hill in wet conditions. dominating, taking pole position for Jordan ahead of David Coulthard in the McLaren, Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari. Who else has had a strong quali? Jean Alesi in the Sauber up in 5th. That's pretty handy looking. Pedro Diniz continues to punch above his weight as well, 10th for the Arrows. Other than that, no real standout performances except for maybe Jarno Trulli beating the Stewarts. But yeah, 30 degrees dried up for the race, which is a little more encouraging. It may see the running order change as well quite drastically because, as we know, Damon Hill is a bit of a wet weather master in this game, as of course is Schumacher. Right, one stop for Ricciardo, and then we're sticking to the standard strategy. Wow, not a bad showing. Oh, actually, no, it is a terrible showing because Tora Takagi is last, but he did finish. He made it to the end, 3 laps down. Quite high attrition in that Grand Prix, actually, with us losing 9 runners. Frentzen was the first to go in the Williams with an accident. Then Ricardo Rosset blew his engine, followed by a drive problem for Alexander Wurz. Eddie Irvine's got a hydraulic issue. Both Prosts failed to finish with brake and suspension problems. Jean Alesi's his excellent qualifying is undone by his suspension coming to pieces. Both Stewarts made it across the line. That's encouraging for them. Also, Juan Minardi made it home. Damon Hill managed to get into the points. There's a good boy. Final points paying position, Diniz just outside the points, but his teammate, Mika Salo, coming home 5th, keeping Arrow's strong start to the season going. Both Jordans in the points, Michael Schumacher, Johnny Newhouse, and Mika Hakkinen top of the podium. Top of the podium to you there. What's going on in the Drivers' Championship? So Mika Hakkinen now leads, 20 points to Johnny Newhouse's 10. Coulthard, Schumacher, and then it's equals for 5th position between Frentzen and Schumacher. Fisichella and Salo tie for 7th, and Wurz and Damon Hill tie for 9th. Means we continue to have quite an interesting Constructors' Championship, actually. McLaren with double the points of Williams, so not so interesting there, but things get spicy from 3rd down, with Jordan currently on par with Ferrari, Benetton just a point behind, and Arrows a further point behind them. Really great start to the season for Jordan and Arrows. Very good to see. We made a loss at that Grand Prix. Again, not a surprise. 200 grand we lost, but it is a flyaway race. A lot of attendance costs to take into consideration there. Let's see how we're doing on our deals. So, still no word from Red Bull if they're willing to talk to us. Still no progress on the Mugen Honda deal, nor on the Bridgestone deal, nor on the Texaco deal, nor on the Petronas deal. That's depressing. What's even more depressing is some of our key sponsors are no longer attending Grand Prix with us. Let's invite Texaco back, and Bridgestone have already got an offer from elsewhere. Then we will take Petronas. See if we can't grease the wheels of capitalism. How are our share prices? They are down again. That's really not good. We could do with a cash injection about now, but we're not going to resort to any drastic measures just yet. We are going to bang out the spare parts because that is key to running a race team. Our income has dropped as well based on poor performance. We knew that was going to happen. Let's see what's going on in the news before we go any further. Mika Hakkinen taking the win from Damon Hill on pole position. Ricardo Rosset's race ended early, of course. Both Jordans in the points, as we said. Eddie Irvine will be moving to Arrows. That's an interesting move, especially so early in the season. And heavy rainfall interfered with qualifying, which we know. Johnny Newhouse will be moving to Ferrari. That's another big signing. Very early in the season, actually. Mika Hakkinen picking up the fastest lap in the last Grand Prix. And Tyrrell, which is us, have signed Celso Moreira as our test driver because look at his cheeky Brazilian face. Rory Byrne and Nigel Stepney will be joining McLaren. That's quite some big signings for those boys. Williams have signed Stefano Domenicali as well. Arrows news about. Sorry, my German's failing me. Something to do with pit stops. Williams have signed Autosport as a sponsor. That's a level 1 sponsor, I think, so not big money there. Now here's an interesting one. Adrian Newey to Arrows. That is a big signing. Yep, we did not attend any tests, and we won't be attending any tests again. That's not really going to be news after it happens 4 or 5 times. Alan Prost taking the Loser of the Week award, with Ron Dennis taking the big ballsy winner. Right, let's see if Shinji Nakano has got any less snobby. He has. Okay, so he will be starting 1999 for 3 seasons. We've got Takagi for 3 seasons as well, so we're going all Japanese for 3 years, so that's pretty good. Cash, we don't has it, but we do need to strengthen our commercial team, even though it's going to cost us greatly. I can't stress enough how much I shouldn't be hiring, but we're 3 rounds in and made no progress on any key deals, and if we don't have an engine supplier in position, then we can't go racing. Minor damage to Rossett's car. Don't really care about that. We're really going to be putting our resources behind Takagi. Make sure he's always got race-ready machinery. Okay, there we go. I'm saving car 3 for Takagi as well. Really, Rossett is there just because we have to field 2 drivers. I may even qualify him on wet weather tyres at the next Grand Prix and just try and save wear on the chassis. Because he's not going to finish. He's just such a crappy driver in such a crappy, unreliable car that we really are wasting our time entering him at all, to be quite frank. No settled points of which to speak. Any new tyres? No. Right. Oh, let's see if we made any observations. No, we did not. The Arrows are doing very well. I'm going to see if they've managed to scam themselves any driver aids. So it cost us $345,000 to attend this Grand Prix. We have less than that in the bank, so I'm expecting this could be a hairy situation. 21 degrees, cloudy with a very slack wind. That's fine, and we're going to stick Rossett out on wet weather tyres because fuck that guy. Yep, he fails to qualify, which ironically is exactly what we wanted to achieve. Takagi brings it home bottom of the pile, but to be fair, we've got to remember here he's not pushing to the potential of the car at all, because we're more concerned about wear and tear and money on upkeep of the cars than we are about actual performance. So, and he's still only a tenth behind the Minardis, which are an inferior car at this point in the season. Michael Schumacher starts on pole ahead of a McLaren 2-3 Coulthard leading Hakkinen. It's very tight up at the front, all within a few fractions of a tenth of each other. Frentzen in the Williams takes 4th. Fisichella qualifies strongly in 5th for Benetton, ahead of Johnny Newhouse. A bit of a fall from grace for Pedro Diniz, down in 14th, but other than that, nothing really seems out of position so much. But I'm sure that could all be shaken up in the race. We have light rain, 21 degrees. We're going to double stop Takagi. That also allows us to account for any changes in weather. Obviously the lower grip, but he should be reasonably competent. Let's see if he can bring it home. He does. 7 laps down and last, but he brought it home, which is important. Finishing is still helpful. David Coulthard was the first out with an engine failure. Mika Salo also had a fuel system problem in the Arrows. Johnny Herbert Sauber hydraulic problem. Double DNF for the Arrows with a suspension failure for Pedro Diniz. And Giancarlo Fisichella's Benetton gave up, whimpering softly and pointing at its hydraulic system. At the sharp end, a great run for Damon Hill this season. He takes 2nd position just behind and a lap down from Michael Schumacher, who obviously put on a masterclass. Mika Hakkinen rounds out your podium with the final points paying positions going to Frentzen in the Williams, Irvine in the Ferrari, and Newhouse in the Williams. So double points for the Williams, big points again for Jordan. Any other strong... Shinji Nakano home before and a lap up on both Prosts. That's a hell of a showing in the Minardi. Good job. Looks like we've signed a good one. In the Drivers' Championship, things are getting a little more heated. 24 points to Mika Hakkinen top of the pile. That's 10 points clear of Michael Schumacher, who in turn is 3 points ahead of Johnny Newhouse. Damien Hill clings on to 4th with 7 points. Frentzen and Coulthard sharing 5th place at the moment on 6 points. But we've got quite a lot of scorers on the board, to be honest. Wirtz, Salo, by no means guaranteed to be early scorers, so that's actually pretty spicy. McLaren continue to lead the Constructors' Championship with 30 points. Williams move up to 2nd with 17, ahead of Ferrari on 16. Jordan are 4th with 10. Benetton stay ahead of Arrows by a singular point. Right, we made another loss at that Grand Prix, another 200 grand loss. That really sucks, but we're back in Europe, which should help things. Let's see how we're going on next year's car. Well, the good news is that next year's car is actually approved for 1999. Now, again, it's important to remember that although we're already nearly a quarter of the way through the season, or a third of the way through the season, 16 rounds, I think, so it's a quarter. We need to put the most time possible into the first stage, and then we can rush the latter stage, but that has the biggest impact on your performance. We're not really worried about technology or anything. We don't have any major reliability problems. I'm sure next year's car will have them aplenty, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. What's going on in the news? So another win for Michael Schumacher. Yeah. Industry experts reckon we're going to go under, which is entirely possible. Schumacher took pole, 2 cars in the top 6, so both Ferrari and Williams. Our relationship with the FIA has continued to deteriorate. Riccardo Rossi watched the race on TV, having failed to qualify, but we kind of went for that. David Coulthard will be staying at McLaren. John Lacey is moving over to Benetton. Jordan have signed Olivier Panis. That's quite an interesting signing as well. Rubens Barrichello moves over to Sauber to replace Lacey. Yeah, confirmed Adrian Newey to Arrows. Riccardo Rossi is performing the old switcheroo with Shinji Nakano moving across to Minardi. Shinji Nakano joins us, of course. Toru Takagi had a slow start to the season, and that will not improve. Asprey of London will sponsor Ferrari next season. Mini Champs are sponsoring Williams. Interesting to see Williams hoovering up the smaller sponsors, actually. Mika Hakkinen signs for Williams. Mike Gascoigne is meeting with Sauber and may sign with them. That would be an interesting thing. The chassis rules for 1999 are released, and fortunately we are compliant with them. Ian Phillips, commercial manager at Jordan, will be moving across to Ferrari, and Carl Gaden, who's the tech director or head mechanic, I think, at Williams, will be joining Ferrari. Tyrrell continued to not test, which again, no surprise. Alan Prost is loser of the week. Luca Di Montezemolo, God bless him, is the winner. He's just the winner. Right, let's see. Let's see what we do. Contracts. I'm really not expecting any good news here. Petronas, we're getting nowhere. Fuel, we're getting nowhere. Tyres, we're getting nowhere. Engine, we are getting nowhere. Red Bull, we are getting nowhere. This is getting very concerning now. Share price has recovered slightly, but it's not enough. I'm not taking a loan because that's just going to really hamper us moving forward. I don't really know what more I can do. I don't I can't really afford to spend any more on hospitality. I mean, these guys are still coming to the races with us, which means they're not talking to anybody else, but they just don't seem to be interested in doing business with us. I'll give it one more round with Patronus, and then I might already move over to PlayStation in terms of hospitality. In fact, I will. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, they're also not talking to anybody else, which is very good news for us. We have no new fuel tyres or power units to consider. Let's build ourselves some spare parts. One set of spare parts because we're really sucking in terms of morale. What's going on in the staffing situation? Design, we have some talent available. Don't know if it's really so important. Yeah, 110 grand, not going to pay that. It's commercial where we're prepared to spend the money right now. Okay, let's get things ready to go. We have just enough parts to keep car 1 in mint condition. Car 2, again, we're going to try and... Actually, we need to swap them. Okay. I repaired the wrong car. What a fool. So Rossett is now in car 2 with 42% wear, and we're going to try and fail to qualify with him again, even though it may hurt our commercial negotiations. Actually, maybe we it's very hard to be decisive at this point in the game. It's those small cats. They're just so adorable, and they've softened my icy heart. No new tyres to worry about. Let's smash the race button. 22 degrees and cloudy for your qualifying in San Marino. Yeah, alright, Rossett, you can qualify if you want. Oh, look at that. He makes me eat humble pie by out-qualifying Toru Takagi by 3/10. 4/10, nearly. We are still bottom of the pile, but that's okay. Not too far off the back of the Minardis, and again, the Minardis are trying. Mika Hakkinen takes pole for McLaren ahead of Michael Schumacher. David Coulthard lines up third for McLaren. Frentzen, Irvine, Newhouse, Wirtz, Fisichella, Hill and Diniz round out your top 10. Again, Hill and Diniz in the top 10, pretty good. Better showing them recent for the Benettons as well. Let's see what the race brings. Dry weather, 27 degrees for the Grand Prix. We will one stop the unloved Brazilian, which sounds more like I'm describing unfavourable pubic hair than a driver. Fresh boots. There we go. Right, boys, don't embarrass us too hard. Or just come last. With 2 DNFs, electronic failure taking out Rossett, engine failure for Takagi, not surprising because the unit we've got is very unreliable. Trulli's also out with hydraulic failure. Hydraulics also the Achilles heel for Coulthard's McLaren. Salo, Ralf Schumacher and Eddie Irvine also failing to finish, the last of your classified runners being Tuero and Nakano 2 laps down. Up at the sharp end, Michael Schumacher takes the win for Ferrari ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Williams. Good showing for him. Excellent showing for Alexander Wirtz in the Benetton, rounding out your podium. He was 22 seconds down on Frentzen, but still a podium finish for him is a great recovery. Pedro Diniz again just outside the points. He's having a hell of a season, as is Damon Hill in 8th. Excuse me. Both Williams in the top 6 again. Continuing their strong run and form, and also we've got a Benetton in the points again for Fisichella, taking the last points paying position. What does that do for the championship? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Mika Hakkinen continues to lead, but his gap has been slashed to 3 points, with Schumacher on 24, ahead of Newhouse and Frentzen, separated by a point. And then we have Hill, Coulthard and Wirtz, all a point within each other. Fisichella and Schumacher are tied for 8th on 3 apiece. Salo and Irvine on 2 apiece. Nice. Constructors, McLaren 33 points, top of the pile still. Ferrari on 26, 1 point clear of Williams, who've closed the gap. Jordan take 4th with 10 points, Benetton in 8th, and Arrows bringing up the rear on 2, but that's 2 more than we got driving for Arrows in the first season. Right, give me some good news, commercial team. What am I paying you for? We've got a customer deal with Mugen. I mean, we don't want a customer deal, but, you know, we've got some progress. Also on the text code deal, that's encouraging. Still no progress on the Patronus or the PlayStation deal. I'm going to focus on Patronus because, I mean, even though they're only paying an extra 200 grand, we only have 200 grand in the bank now, so it's important. Yeah, still focusing on Mugen Honda as well as an absolutely key partner. And we'll take 5% off here. Bump that up to 30%. I think that's really important. How were our financials? We made a small profit of just shy of $3,000, or roughly a second-hand car. Williams have signed Murano or Marlboro in the real world as a team sponsor. That's quite a big signing for them. Another win for Schumacher with a pole position added to Mika Häkkinen's tally. Yep, double DNF for us. Benetton and Williams both happy to have 2 cars in the top 6. Jordan have signed Giancarlo Fisichella. Michael Schumacher took the fastest lap. Mika Häkkinen will be joining Williams. That's also a big signing. Ian Phillips confirmed now moving from Jordan to Ferrari to head up their commercial operations, as is the final confirmation of Carl Gaden to Ferrari, leaving Williams behind. Benetton have signed a deal with Parmalat. Camozzi have signed with Ferrari. And I am this week's biggest loser with Frank Williams taking King of the Hill. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. I know it's been kind of a boring episode, but it's going to be rough this first season, and given that we're no longer tutorializing, it doesn't give me a great deal to talk about, but things will spice up as the year goes on, and hopefully we get our share price up soon so we can actually bring some money into this bad boy. Enjoy the Hungarian Grand Prix if it's not already finished by the time this uploads, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, Zeus.